I've spent over 2,000 hours in squad. That's over 90 days of my life in one game. And after all that time, I still can't give you a simple answer on whether it's actually worth playing. Today we're doing something a little different. Instead of talking about what happened to a game, I want to talk about what happens when you spend thousands of hours in one. I've got a long history with squad, some of my best gaming moments ever.
Yeah, my warriors don't push the gas town yet. They have 2 tillmen. We need to take care of them first before you get to push up.
Copy.
Oh, dude, I hit that! Holy shit!
And some of the most frustrating.
I mean, they can where we're going, but it's not a common place for them to rush. I guess if it's a 30 mil on that road, then we are screwed, but
A few inches later.
It's like you called it or something.
yeah. Yeah.
So after 2,000 hours, was it actually worth it? I got into squad back in 2017 or 2018 during my first round of college. And I probably shouldn't have been playing it at all. I was running the game on a terrible laptop, getting maybe 15 to 20 frames on a good day. But somehow, I stuck with it. And a few nights in, everything changed for me. I met a group of guys that I ended up playing with for years. We hopped on after classes and played until 1 or 2 in the morning, almost every night. And that's where my first few hundred hours came from. But then it turned into something more. We joined a larger community and eventually started building a competitive squad team. And that's where things really escalated. I wasn't just playing anymore. I was training players, over 100 of them at least, maybe more. Teaching tactics, running practices, trying to build something organized in a game that could be pure chaos. That stretch from about 500 hours to well over 1,000 was the peak. I was playing almost every day, training, leading, grinding, and honestly, it was some of the most fun I've ever had in a game. But like anything, you do that too much, eventually it burns you out. I stepped away, the community faded out, and since around 2021, I've only come back to the game in waves, usually after big updates or when I got that itch to play again. And in that time, squad has changed quite a bit. When you first jump into squad, it's complete chaos. Gunfire everywhere, vehicles rolling past you, mortars dropping out of nowhere. And at any moment, your squad leader might be yelling over the comms trying to get everyone on the objective. It's overwhelming. And honestly, for a lot of people, this is probably where they quit. Especially now with helicopters, tanks, and airstrikes added into the mix. There's so much happening that it can feel impossible to keep up. If you've never played a tactical or milsim style shooter before, Squad is a full-on culture shock. For me, it was my first real experience with anything like this. The closest thing I'd played before was maybe Rainbow Six Siege, which is tactical in its own way, but nothing to this scale. I went into Squad completely blind, and somehow just after a few games, I was hooked. Not because I understood what was going on, I definitely didn't, but because I could see what the game could be. These moments where your squad actually worked together, where pushes came together perfectly, where it feels less like a game and more like a coordinated operation. That's what keeps you playing after those first 10 hours. If you stick with Squad past those first 10 hours, that's where things start to click a little bit. This is where you start to begin to understand what's actually happening. You start learning the different roles, how squads function, how vehicles fit into the fight, and even how each of the factions play differently. It's a lot to take in, and honestly, Squad might be one of the most daunting FPS games out there to learn because of it. This is also the phase where you start to branch out. You move on beyond playing medic or rifleman. You start experimenting with other roles. Maybe you try anti-tank, maybe you hop into a vehicle crew, or maybe, whether you want to or not, you get thrown into the squad leader role. And that's where things really start to change. You start thinking less like an individual player and more like part of a team. Basic tactics start forming, You begin to understand positioning, communication, and how objectives really get won. And then it happens. You get your first good game. A match where your squad is communicating, coordinating, and everything just works. A push comes together, defenses hold, and for a moment, the chaos turns into something structured. And that's the moment where squad really hooks you. Because now you know what the game can be. And if you've got a group to play with, it only pulls you in deeper. And once you've had a few of those good games, that's when squad really starts to take over. You're not just playing anymore, you're chasing something. That one perfect match where everything clicks. When command chat is communicating, your pushes are coordinated, and it feels like a well-oiled machine. So you keep coming back, day after day, match after match. This is also where your understanding of the game really sharpens. You start learning proper tactics, how to attack and defend objectives, what makes a good fob placement, and what absolutely doesn't. You start forming opinions, like hating it when someone drops a fob right on the capture point. I know I still do. And the more you play, the more the game starts to make sense. But here's the thing. This is also when squad feels at its best, when you've hit this point. You're good enough to understand it, but not burned out yet. Every match still has potential to be that game. And for me, that phase lasted a long time. Way longer than it probably should have. But eventually, things start to change, because after hundreds or even thousands of hours in squad, you're not chasing the experience anymore. You've already seen it. The rush tactics, the disorganized team, bad leadership, the clan steamrolls where one side never really had a chance. Nothing surprises you anymore. In fact, you start seeing problems before they even happen. You can spot when your team starts to overextend. You can tell when a push is going to fail just based off of your positioning and the objectives. And slowly your mindset shifts. You get frustrated more easily. New players stop feeling like part of the experience and start feeling like obstacles. Mistakes that used to be understandable now just feel exhausting. And at the same point, you start asking yourself a question you didn't expect. Why am I still playing this? The matches can still be fun, but those great games, the ones that really hooked you in the first place, they become rare. And the bad games, they feel worse than ever. Because now you know exactly what the game should be, and most of the time it just isn't. And despite all that, I still kept coming back. Not as often as I used to, but enough. Because I know what the game can be, even if public matches never quite reach the same level again. There's always that chance, that one game where everything comes together, where communication clicks, the team works, and for a moment, feels like it used to. And that's what I'm chasing. Not every match, not even most of them, just that one. The people I used to play with don't really play anymore. Burnout, life, or just the feeling that public games don't live up to what we had built. And honestly, they're not wrong. But every now and then, you get close. And for a brief moment, it reminds you of exactly why you spent so much time in the game in the first place. So after 2,219 hours, was squad worth it? Honestly, it's a complicated answer. Because if I could go back and experience it all over again for the first time, I absolutely would. But I also know exactly where that road leads. We're right back here. Still chasing that one perfect game, the one with great communication, real teamwork, and moments that no other shooter really delivers the same way. And that's the thing about Squad. At its best, it's one of the most unique and rewarding experiences you can have in a multiplayer game. But at its worst, it can feel like a completely different game. If you're new to tactical shooters, Squad's a great place to start. Even if those first few hours feel really chaotic. And if you've played milsim or tactical shooters before, this will feel right at home, or maybe even become a game you sink hundreds of hours into. But just know what you're signing up for, because once you see what Squad can be, you'll spend a long time trying to get back to it.